All right, now my microphone is back. Sorry. Um, I was saying thank you everyone for being here. So I'll just start the recording of this video so we can later share with everyone. And I'll pass the torch to Ryan, who will be will be leading the meeting today. So just 1 second, please. All right, we are currently recording, and we're going to go ahead and start the presentation. So Brian, whenever you are ready, please go ahead.
Great. Hi, everybody. Can I get a quick confirmation that my audio is going through okay?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, excellent.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Hi, I'm Brian. I have been working with the core team for the last about week and a half, 2 weeks after the community proposal went through, contribution proposal, and I'm taking my swing at helping lead this meeting. It's giving me great purview into everything that's going on. So this is going to work as it usually does. We're going to go through a number of agenda items of ongoing contributions and new contributions and updates on things that have been happening. There are individual slides, and different community members and contributors will present their slides. We'll go through the agenda really quickly next. Great. So there will be a POAP. We'll go over that. The Treasury Committee has an update. We'll read an update on the community contribution initiative that we kicked off last week. There's a new proposal for a Visor finance migration. There's a product management update, a new roadmap being published. Alessia will give an update on the dose staking. And then we'll go through some of the statistics and dashboard stuff and talk through any proposals that are on the board and open up for discussion. Pretty short and sweet. Looking forward to it. So this, Gabo, confirm this is correct, but anyone here, there will be attendance taken. So anyone who's on this call will receive a POAP badge of attendance. Gabo will, I think, paste a link in the forum, and then you will get a DM from him to confirm. Is that correct, Gabo?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be directly DMing the unique link to each of the attendants. Yeah.
Great. So look for that. That'll probably come on Monday of this week after this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, in the coming hours, let's say by probably before Monday. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Now block for a Treasury Committee update. Block, I think you're muted.
Silly microphone and Discord separate mutes. So we have been doing quite well compared to like our benchmark, and we're up in value since the Treasury started, largely because of ETH rising and us selling a little slower than initially anticipated to take advantage of some of that rise.
Block, are you there?
Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yeah,
I am. Yes.
Okay. Cool. So we've been looking into Ribbon as Ribbon's
you want to give a Treasury Committee update?
what's happening?
I think I'm giving one, but and I think you guys can hear me, but I'm not positive on that.
So either there's a huge delay on the previous question, or I don't know.
Okay. So basically, we have this. We've been using Convex and Balancer, but even though the price of Curve has been fluctuating positively, it's still not really competing with Ribbon returns from automatically selling calls and puts. So we're looking to move our Bitcoin into a call selling strategy, which should give us around 30% yield. That would have a downside if Bitcoin really spikes hard, but right now we think that we're in a good range, that selling these calls should do pretty well. And largely looking at the history of Ribbon, they've had pretty good strike prices that have managed to stay out of the money pretty consistently. So we feel pretty confident about that. It does add a bit of complexity, though, in that we had been planning on splitting out the external rewards. Oftentimes, the external rewards, like liquidity mining rewards, are far higher than fees earned internally, such as if you have an LP The LP normally will earn like a few percent, whereas the external rewards might be in the double digits. So we had initially planned on just using that external rewards to split, but being that we're moving into pure internal reward plays such as Ribbon, we'll be marking down the amount that we deposited, and that way we'll treat any additional amount that we withdraw as that return, and be making the split towards the reward pie out of that. It's a bit more complex accounting, but we feel that the increased gains will be worth it. We're also looking to put some funds into AVE and maybe borrow. We have a few strategies on the table, largely considering borrowing Curve and farming that. That seems to be quite profitable, although it does have the risk of the CVX Curve losing its peg. The fact that they've moved that into the from Sushi into Curve itself is promising, as that should definitely hold a stronger peg than an SLP. But if it does break peg, it will break peg much quicker. We're also considering borrowing stables to farm right now MIM, as that's currently one of the highest returning convex pools. If that changes, we may migrate to another. We're also considering borrowing stables and maybe swapping into something more volatile, but right now that seems a little further out, as that's a much more complex decision that adds more risk of liquidation. So those seem to be kind of where we're considering now, and where our current funds are moving towards. And does anyone have any questions on that?
Was pretty clear to me.
Awesome. Well, then I pass it back to the moderator.
Cool.
With us, Brian? Moving forward, Brian, would you like to give us an update on the Community Contribution Committee?
Did we lose Brian?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Either that, or she's having serious connection problems. Are you back, Brian? Otherwise, we'll just move forward, and once he's back, we'll cover the community contribution slide. All right, let's move forward. Please, someone ping him and see what's going on, if he's okay. So, next one, we have a proposal from the folks from Visor Finance. We agree with Brian from Visor to present a couple of points about the migration to Uniswap B3 they're proposing. Do we have Brian from Visor Finance on the call?
Yeah, Brian and Miles are here, and Saganaki as well.
Cool. All yours, guys.
Yeah, so we wanted to present this liquidity mining Uniswap B3 solution that we have developed at Visor. Our main use case for our platform / protocol is active management of liquidity positions on Uniswap V3. And we've recently extended the ability to add a liquidity mining layer on top of managing the position itself. So the first one that we're working with to launch, and this will launch next week, is with mstable. And so it'll be an MTA/ETH pair that then has a liquidity mining reward incentive on top. So any LPs that their assets to this pair using Visor then can get this distribution. And so the same idea is also here with you guys, managing your pair on Uniswap V3 and then allowing you to add liquidity mining incentives.
Right.
Right.
This was
Thank you very much. Can you, like, maybe elaborate a little bit more, like, on how exactly Visor will function internally? Like, I see there is like some market making strategy being attached to it. Like, there is mention of these gamma strategies. Like, can you maybe talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. Saganaki, you want to go, but it's not market making. It's providing optimal ranges in the concentrated liquidity. So yeah, maybe Saganaki is working at Gamma and maybe can provide some information on how that strategy works.
Sure. So, Alessio, so what we're doing for the strategy is simply generating reasonable ranges for the liquidity provision that make sure that impermanent loss is mitigated and that you don't need to do swaps on the platform in order to keep a balanced position. And so what this allows is for people who are used to sushi and Uniswap V2 kind of pools where you just deploy liquidity and it's passive, a Visor serves as an interface. Kind of, we think of it more as infrastructure, so that people who do not want to be active LPs can rely on the strategies that Visor develops and has been testing out for since Uni V3's launch, basically, in order to allow you to LP. And the benefits for PyDAO are mostly that, as you're aware, Uniswap V3 has concentrated liquidity, which means that with a lot less capital, you can ensure that whoever is swapping has a low slippage. And so what our proposal is basically that the amount of issuance of those that happens in order to incentivize current slippage could be cut down by an order of magnitude and offer the same amount of liquidity in the pools for whoever wants to buy dough or potentially other pies.
Right. No, like that makes sense. Like, my understanding is that basically what you guys gonna do is for LPs to make sure they're always in range.
Right.
And I would love to learn a little bit more, like, on how the frequency of that happens. Like, if there is a system of keepers, who's going to pay for those transactions, like what ensures that those rebalancing go through in time, and fees are not lost. I would imagine fees are also compounded to some degree.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right. So so we set the ranges, and so and that's an initial that can be an initial like 10% or 20% above and below fair price. There's definite ability for there to be co-management here, so that it's not just us making the decision. But we do subsidize all gas fees, and we're doing that for all the 20 pairs that we manage right now. And it when it comes to rebalancing the position, it really is just dependent upon whether or not the price is near the upper or lower band. And so, near can be a quantifiable percentage, and then we would go ahead and rebalance. We do have integration with Chainlink keepers, but what we have figured out is that it needs to be a little bit more discretionary than just programming. When it hits 20% near the top, the upper band of the position, go ahead and rebalance. There's some other considerations that can't just be programmed into Keeper, such as volatility, when the last rebalance was, and external assets that can be deposited on the other side. So so those are some considerations around the management of the pair. And we've seen this throughout managing our 20 pairs, and we have a TVL of 15, around anywhere from 12 to 15 million. And so we've managed this effectively by configuring these parameters, but also adding some discretionary aspect to it. But with that said, we do have an endpoint, and this endpoint can suggest when to rebalance, and it can even you can even accept that through a multi-sig. And so it doesn't have to be solely dependent upon one individual to manage this position. You know, it can be a set of addresses and a sort of prearrangement of parameters.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Brian. Like for explaining a little bit more. Like I find quite exciting the idea of having provisioning of liquidity when Uniswap v3. Like, and I totally take the point of the efficiency, as that's you know, that's a thing, right? So like it's I would be very much in favor of testing this out. And I would love, like, if you guys have either some projections or numbers in terms of what you guys think, like, would be the exact amount which will need to be reached, like, to sort of have similar slippage levels. That will help a lot.
Sure.
I'm a little less, like, or at least a little bit more skeptical right now, like, on the liquidity mining personally, but just because, like, I think it was Gabo, like, saying that into the forum post before. We eventually started doing this dopamine thing like a little while ago, mostly under the idea that we wanted to create sort of a connection between DAO and the price, right? Like, and then we can have that as a sort of a base token for swaps, which is now currently working on SushiSwap. And at least I just yet, like, I don't understand how that might work on Uniswap. Do you guys have any comments on that? Like, I would love to learn more.
So we looked at, and Uniswap does have the same kind of like router feature that SushiSwap does. So if the best channel through which, you know, if you have ETH and you want to buy DeFi plus is through the DAO pool, the router is going to suggest that. So I think that was kind of along the lines of your questions, and basically have implemented that in Uniswap v3.
Even going from like ETH, and then will that do like ETH DAO, you know, play or something like that?
If it,
Do you have any example, like, of anyone doing that? Like, very curious to see it. Which is great. Like, if they do it, it's fantastic. We have been asking the Uniswap team in the past to implement that. So, but I didn't know it was already there.
I'll try to do a swap that requires a couple of hops, but my understanding is just that the router just figures out the minimal slippage they can get, and just it suggests it to you.
Yeah, like in the past, it was the case that they had, because it's like a big problem, like this, how they call it, like a market salesman problem or something, which grows exponentially, like the more routes you check. And they had like a couple of whitelisted tokens, which they would do routes through, but they wouldn't add like our token, because that would add like a lot of complexity to every single swap on the UI side. So that's why it didn't work on Uniswap, but actually SushiSwap included our token into that router. So that's why it wasn't working. So I'm curious to see if they do it now.
Yeah, because like most of the routing happens sort of off chain, right? Like it's I don't know if that changed in the Uniswap v3 in any way, but like it's probably not.
We'll double check and get back to you.
I have another question. Like, I think like you guys use like custom smart contract architecture, right, to tokenize the entire position for everyone.
Right.
Like, can anyone enter at any point to also supply liquidity to the Visor pool? And are these contracts like audited or not?
Yes, the main contract is the position manager contract, and it mints a receipt token for the value that you have entered into the position, and that can be single asset, one side of the pair, or it can be both assets of the pair, and that main contract is audited, and we have a report. It's a public audit.
I did. We'll check it out.
Do you guys have like good stats on impermanent loss versus other like a flat V2 strategy?
Team what?
So a lot of the concern I've seen around like V3 management strategies is that rebalancing can be worse than normal IL. And I'm curious if you guys have any, data dashboards or something that can help highlight how you've been performing on regarding IL.
Yeah, we do have a couple of dashboards, and we've created one for Uni and ETH, our position there, and that just tracks if you were to hold Uni, if you were to hold ETH, or if you were to be in the Visor Uni ETH position, the actively managed position. And then there's also one that Delphi put together that is based upon our USDT ETH pair, and that tracks holding USDT, holding ETH, or having USDT ETH in a Uniswap V2 position, and then our USDT and ETH actively managed position. And in that Delphi research report, they showed that our position was the top performing out of those entire 4 options. And so we were able to perform better than V2 and then holding either one of those assets. And the same for Uni ETH. Our position was had a higher NAV value than the other 2 options, holding Uni or holding ETH. And then when rebalancing, that's this discretionary aspect that needs to be added in, because you have to chart the acceleration of the volatility, because if you rebalance when there is when the price is close to the lower band, but you're anticipating that it will enter into more of a 50-50 ratio. If you were to rebalance during that time, you would make that impermanent loss permanent. And so that's that's a big thing that we have figured out in measuring these other aspects like acceleration and momentum in order to not lock in that impermanent loss.
If you're able to link any of those articles in like general after this call, that would be really helpful for me.
Yes, sure. Where
Awesome.
would you like that?
If you just post it in general, I'll find
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Or you can also link them down the forum post, so we just keep everything.
Oh yeah, that'll be easier.
Would be handy. Thanks.
Because I think this is like right now a problem for pies is that they're generally not that high TLV individually, which makes putting them in these pools not super capital efficient. And so really, even more so than Doe, I see something like this being valuable for the individual pies. So definitely very curious to read on how you've been performing versus IL and others. So really appreciate you linking those.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's actually a quite interesting argument you're making, Block, because eventually if there is a way to sort of easily be in the right range, and then maybe even co-manage that, I don't know, together with the Treasury Committee or some other people, right? That could be a fairly interesting way to give deep liquidity for pies, right away.
Agree.
And I'm looking at the Uniswap SDK, and it seems that you guys could set up your own multi-hop path. If let's say for like a swapping on the PyDAO website, from what I understand, I'll drop it in general.
Yeah, that would be the case. I'm sure. Yeah, I can 100% confirm that's the case. It won't be in the official interface. You will need to make your own, basically making your own router. But it's possible to make a custom one, even though I'm not sure it's super desirable.
Yeah, and in terms of impermanent loss in the past, I also want to highlight that me and whoever wants over at Gamma Strategies, we are researching and giving out grants for people to further develop liquidity provision strategies in Uniswap V3. Because this is a 4-month-old kind of piece of science. And so we're all developing the best strategies every single day. But I think that our performance has been pretty good, and in particular for the kind of pairs that PyDAO would generate, which are volatile pairs. I bet kind of ETH, DeFi plus plus. The extent of impermanent loss is relatively smaller than a pair that is ETH USDC, that is where impermanent loss can be significantly bigger because of the lack of correlation.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Awesome, Brian and Miles. Thank you very much, Saganaki, for taking the time to present this. I think we will be following up on the forum. And then if people have questions, please feel free to go and pop up in there. There will be some link provided. I think I'm not sure if Brian was able to rejoin from an audio perspective. It seems like he's having a tiny bit of technical issues. Yeah, so I
will take lead of hosting the call. Don't worry, I'll move this forward. Thank you guys for presenting this. So, going one step forward, management. This is my slide actually. So, I wanted to point out two things that happened since the last community call. The first one is we set up a channel of communication for smart contracts or website issues that you can find, where you can automatically go and log an issue that will directly go and get automatically assigned to our backlog with the necessary priority. Sorry. Not sure if that was well for me, but I'll move forward. So we set up this suite of Atlassian where you can go to pydao.org/number/support or directly send an email to support@pydao.atlassian.net, which will create an automatic bug. So we have two types of issues: improvements or bugs. You can also flag improvements there that you think might be worth having on the roadmap. Always keep in mind that the main channel of communication for larger initiatives or for general initiatives is the forum. But if you see a button that's unaligned or something like that, type of the content that could be updated and have a suggestion, you can always flag that, and we'll directly go into our queue of work, and we can work that depending on the priority. Faster. It's just to give you some tool to get that. If you forget about these two, they are in the FAQ section on Discord. You can find them in there. The second point is about the communication documents. As part of the organizational roadmap, which we will be talking about after this slide. We had a point about increasing the transparency and visibility. So we'll start adding points into a new section of docs.pydao.org, which is communication. Already submitted the workflow for the newsletter and the content generation and how we are going to get new stuff out to the inside bakery and how we plan to communicate if we have or suffer any type of issues on the code or get hacked or anything like that. So we will communicate all our communication strategies through that portal and address the points of the roadmap in docs.pydao.org/communication. I'll stop just a minute in case anyone has any questions or any comments. Right, I'll take that as a no, and I'll move to the next slide. So after the previous communication call, we released the roadmap shortly after, actually. I hope everyone had the chance to take a look at the deliverables, but mainly there are three sections, which are all of them targeting organizational changes. Okay, we are currently developing the engineering roadmap. It's an ongoing conversation. It will be more aligned to the strategic of the DAO. So it will require some more time, but it's a work in progress. Currently, what we are trying to achieve with this roadmap is to have a business strategy in place, to have KPIs that we can measure and share with you all, to grow, raise awareness of the DAO, and get better processes in place. So we have a better framework that everyone can follow, and we can streamline activities like pie rebalancing and proposal creation and so on and so forth. We expect to attack three categories: business development, growth, and organizational structure. You can read the post. It's hope self-explanatory. Each of the categories has a specific actionable item, and we translated all of this into deliverables. Into epics, stories, and subtasks inside Jira already. We'll start tackling on the activities as soon as the workload regarding the staking goes a little bit down, and we start having some more time to invest. Some of the initiatives are already in progress, so we'll report once a month, in the same week of the community calls. So we'll get that released at least the day after, the day before the community call, and we'll have a quick status summary during each of the community calls. We will deliver as an attached PDF, nothing really important, but it will be worth to have later somehow if you want to save them, or a way of having them on different sections of the forum if you want to take it offline. Any questions, any comments from anyone?
Not so far.
Good. Next one, I will pass the torch to Alessio to give us an update on the DOS taking progress.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adrian. So quick update on those staking. Since POAP 60 has been passing with pretty good support, so we are quite happy about that. I'm gonna give like a very quick update on functionality readiness. So basically, what is the state of everything? Which is like short answer is pretty good. We have been running a couple of internal demos, the last one being on September 8th, just to make sure all the functionality are up and running and working correctly. We have been identifying just a few minor bugs, which might require some sort of improvement points, which are due by September 16. All the functionality are working, but like some minor issues we want to fix on the UI side. We have around 18 test cases, which are fairly detailed and executed correctly. There is a little more work being done right now on everything which is behind UI functionality, which is stuff like a UX micro interaction and basically designing a little bit of a user journey for people so that they know exactly what they are expected to do after staking and how to better participate. And yeah, we will be having like another internal demo for verification of all these points on September 22, and based on the outcome of that internal demo, like we hope to give a release date, which hopefully happens very soon after that. Also, a quick update on the auditing side. We've been receiving like a first report from an auditing firm called Aken.io, which has been auditing the code and producing a report. They identified, they classified that as 1 medium risk and 2 low risk. 1 medium risk being one test in JavaScript not executing correctly, but not really sort of a functional issue in the smart contract itself. And 2 low risk, which is one unused import. And yeah, like another contract which wasn't relevant in that. So pretty good so far. Smart contract flagged as secure. We might over time like look for some other auditing firm, but this first review like makes us feel pretty good about the code quality and the sort of the general functionality. So that's the update. Stay tuned for the next one. By the end of September, we hope to have a pretty flawless release. Or a release date, at least.
Thank you, Alessio. Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right. Moving forward, I'll ask Anastasia to give us an update about the DAO staking, the marketing campaign we have planned for the release date.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Alessio mentioned, I think we're gearing towards a pretty nice campaign plan. And we have actually planned out a couple of weeks for marketing activities, starting a week ahead of the actual release of staking, and then following on for 2 weeks after that. We have set out some KPIs that we think would be a good measure of success in terms of how much though we would like to see staked. And there's a couple of various incentive programs that we are currently coming up with details for that we'll be sharing shortly. That will include likely gas reimbursement for some of the early stakers, as that's something that we've seen is pretty important, obviously, for a lot of community members. We've seen a lot of discussions happen on the forum and Discord around that. So hopefully that will allow more people to participate. And also the distribution of all of the fees generated by the DAO up to the release date, up to the staking release date during the first month. So again, more details will be shared shortly as we're just coming out with them. And then otherwise, in terms of social campaigns, we're coming up with a bunch of different competitions and activities on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, various social channels, including giveaways of PyDAO swag. We are engaging a couple of different influencers, both within the DeFi space specifically, as well as wider crypto, which hopefully will give us the chance to actually expand the network beyond the existing DAO holders and get a bunch of new eyes onto the project. And we're also securing some of the partnerships with larger partners like CoinGecko, for example, the Defiant, and a couple others to feature in prominent places the announcement. And obviously, Waxman is helping us out with the media side of things. Waxman being the PR firm that we still have involved. So they're coming out with a press release, and we're targeting top media across crypto to share the updates. So beyond this staking campaign specific plan, PyDAO actually for the past couple of weeks has been appearing in a couple of different podcasts and media opportunities. So we've been on Fortune Teller and Layer 1 discussing some of the DAO mechanics, what works, what doesn't work, the PyDAO products, and kind of trying to attract new users to the products. And then there have been a couple of mentions as well in various articles, which I think is a good start. So we've been in Money article and in Business Insider, both of which have quite a good, obviously, readership. So that's nice. Hopefully they'll drive a little bit of traction towards the website and towards the products. And we've got a couple more cool things on the roadmap as well. So I'll be speaking at Mainnet on PyDAO related topics. So we'll be mentioning staking as much as possible in that, obviously. And then we're also cooking up a couple of fun things for ETH Lisbon. Still in the works, and I'll be reaching out to the community as well for some suggestions, but we're coming up with a couple of ideas for what could be done both at the official event and also as side events that PyDAO could organize. So if anyone is there, let's discuss offline in the general chat. And yeah, I think it's looking pretty great. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
So what can we do to help the campaign steps? Is there anything we want to ask to the community specifically, or anything that we can help with?
Yeah, so I've already been asking around who is prepared to share things on social, and I think we've had some volunteers, which is really great. I've taken a note of all of those. So as soon as we have content ready, I'll be reaching out to you guys to ask to promote that content to your networks. I think that'll be really great. So that will likely start around a week ahead of the release. So definitely please look out for that. And obviously the other thing will be the once the release is out, we'll be making sure to ping everyone on Discord to help us act as quickly as possible once the news are out to tag any relevant people you know to kind of generate more commentary, engage as much as possible on discussions.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anastasia. Good update. Moving forward, go to the next slide.
Quick question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. So I know
ahead,
there was a mention of KPIs. Will those be shared? So can we see what exactly the KPIs are for like the DAO staking? I think you mentioned that, Anastasia.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, for sure. We'll share that. I think currently within the first month, we're targeting to hit about 30% of those staked. Is that correct, guys? Am I getting the numbers right?
Well, if you recall, the number is correct. Yes.
Yeah. But we'll share definitely the numbers as we have currently planned them. They're split right now. I think the first day, the first week, 2 weeks, and then 30 days. But roughly by the end of 30 days, I think roughly 30% is the target.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, just anything once it's put into like a slide or just a doc would be cool to look at.
Yeah. Good point. Definitely.
Yeah, I think when you make a great point, like it would be fantastic to have like even some place so we can all look at it, like, and then try to achieve to that goal collectively as a community and do anything we can like to make sure that that happens. Like, yeah, like it's let's try to make this process as inclusive as possible and see how the community can help with that, because like I think there is a lot that can be done.
For sure. Yeah.
Any other comments from anyone?
I cannot hear anyone anymore.
Do you hear me now?
A tiny bit. Yeah, but I can hear you. Yes.
I'll just put the microphone closer. So let's move forward to the next group of slides, which are about statistics. This will take just a few seconds, so bear with me. About dopamine rewards, we are entering the week number 6 on Tuesday, and the numbers you see on screen are currently the numbers for period number 5. Compared to August, we can see a diminish of the amount of holders almost in every pie we currently have, including DAO. Percentages seem small, but yet it's worth to highlight this to everyone. This data is from yesterday, so it might change up and down. So we are just comparing against last month, as already mentioned. Moving to the next one about the forum, we had 9 open posts, including some of the proposals we're going to discuss next. This is just numbers that are worth seeing. I do see quite an increase in the amount of posts compared to the previous slides or the previous community call. So that's great. We have 16 new users on the forum, and if anyone has been navigating the forum lately, you can see that the amount of new proposals and their reaction and activity has been very good. So yeah, it's good stuff. Thank you everyone for participating. If you see any topic of your interest, go ahead, go check it out, and do leave your comments if you think it's necessary. Unless anyone has any comments, I'll just move forward to the next one. Proposals. So we put up a list of the top proposals we currently have. I'm not sure if Jane Ola is on the call or if you want to mention anything about PFP. Currently, this proposal has been pretty much wrapped up. There's an active voting, so go ahead and go to Snapshot and vote. And the action is on yours on the community side. I'll just leave it. Jane, if you want to say anything about it, otherwise we'll just move forward to the rest.
No, not much to add. Thanks, Adrian. I think the proposals up there. Really want to thank everybody for like a good, quick, healthy discussion on it. We moved quickly and we got a lot of good ideas and incorporated a lot of feedback from a lot of you. So thanks for that. One thing that I think is still an open question. I know there's been prior discussion about trying to better coordinate efforts around Pi launches. So this is out of scope of the current vote and maybe still in scope for discussion of whether we want to try and put together a Pi working group and get some people really thinking about partnerships, marketing, and some of the other specifics around launch.
Thank you, Genoa. Next one will be money market. Sorry, this is a proposal from Saganaki. My 2 cents on this, considering the amount of content on the proposal, and Saganaki, if you want to speak up, please go ahead. The proposal is very much defined. There has been a lot of discussion on it, and there seems to be a sentiment that we can already go ahead and wrap up and start voting if possible. So I'm not sure if Saganaki, if you're on the call, if you want to share anything with us. Otherwise, I'll just move forward.
I'm here. I think that a lot of the feedback that I got was that it needed a little bit more of a service offering, and that's where I've been a little bit stuck. And I think that with a little bit more forum discussion, we can move it forward. I think Block had a couple of good ideas that we discussed on a call a couple of months ago, but I think that overall it still needs a little bit of work in order to make like an allocation that makes sense for people to use it rather than just deploy their funds directly.
So we're still in the making. Good stuff. Thank you for the update. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I mean, if anybody wants to go over to the forum post and take a look, and if they have some suggestions, otherwise I'll be spending a little bit of time rounding up a more concrete proposal, updated proposal of what could be the components, because I do think that it's a good idea for PyDAO, and I don't think it would be something like extremely complicated, but it just needs a little bit more work.
Thank you for that. Moving forward, the Meta Governance Committee, I don't see Guzman in the list of attendees, so I will just say that again, this is one of those proposals that got a lot of momentum and it got a bit lost. There's a long conversation around it. There's some material built up and some consensus. I would love to see this one being picked up. So if anyone has any comments on it, please go ahead and help give it a nudge, or so if we can push it forward or just dismiss it. I'll move to the next one, which is play rebalancing. Has been a discussion open for some time now. Gab has been working a lot on getting a methodology around the evaluation of incorporation of new assets, taking off assets, and rebalancing. So the snapshot of it, this has been completed. Gab, would you like to comment where we are at the moment? I do believe we are almost ready for wrap up and implementation.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, happy first of all that this kind of discussion was somehow started, even though it was not. We may have some initial. It's not mess, but active discussion following the need of rebalancing of play. But I mean, frankly, I think I'm quite happy with the result achieved, since pretty much right now we are in the state where we kind of formalize through a prospectus for the PI. So which kind of clearly states, what's the aim of the PI, criteria for acceptance, as I hope most of you have seen, both on the prospectus and on the asset tracker. By the way, still props to Saganaki for like throwing this kind of template from Scales. I think it's quite useful, and I would be very much in favor to extend this to all upcoming PIs and the current PIs. So other than that, it's clearly lays down the rules for asset allocation, which eventually incorporate not just a more rigid methodologies, derived from those we call the correlated risk adjusted market cap methodologies as for other PIs, but somehow also incorporate some other rules which emerge from the forum discussion. So that is something done and solidified. We also clear which are going to be the rule driving rebalancing once for all. So we either define triggers for rebalancing and urgency for rebalancing, drawing some macro rules, let's say rule of thumb, like, minimum, we're going to have like one rebalance every 6 months, and maximum one every calendar month, stuff like that, which was never agreed before that. So the next following step has been following the application of those criteria through the asset tracker. We've been already voting, and the snapshot already closed about the inclusion of new assets which were proposed, and the removal of few assets currently included into play which didn't qualify. So it's been pretty, I see, clear what's the outcome. So we're gonna have we're gonna remove one asset from the upcoming rebalancing allocation, which is Atari, since didn't meet a few criteria, and we should be including 4 different assets, which is our Illuvium, Audius, Eternity Chain, and Gala Games. So I think I'm pretty excited, to extend further on the reach of the pie. And next step, pretty much we've been working on the new allocation based on all these criteria. Cool thing is that pretty much we already formalized all the required steps to come up with an allocation. So right now we should be pretty much ready to move on with the rebalancing. As soon as, let's say, we're going to be able to, let's say, put some decent slot in the development. Let's say, and so I think we're ready to move on pretty much with the rebalancing.
Great.
If any question, happy to. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Right. Moving forward, Visor Finance, the team already presented on the previous slide, but worth adding the proposal here on the list. So if you want to check the material offline, you can click on it and go ahead and review. Last but not least, Diego, I think he's currently on the call, has been raising his hand with and trying to give us some momentum to scale back on track. So thank you, Diego, and welcome to PIDAO. I think this is the first time you're joining us, but good to see new blood trying to get stuff done. So appreciate that.
Hi everyone, thank you. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, hi everyone. I'm excited to be part of this PIDAO and start helping and contributing to this DAO. I think one of my first steps is going to be with the scale index, but I'm looking forward to help you in other aspects of the DAO. We'll see how it goes. As Adrian said, this is my one of my first approach to this community, and I'm looking forward to deploy the scale index. I know there's a lot to be done, but the product, as I've been reading and studying, it is quite well defined and it's like pretty good MVP. So I think, with the help of all of you, I could make the scale go live and see what happens.
Welcome, Diego. Fantastic to to hear you want help, like, and to have you on board. Like, I'm looking forward to work with you and the other guys, like, to make scale a reality.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We'll be
welcome.
talking soon.
Yeah, we Diego and I had a call, and Louis is also going to be transitioning. But I think it's a great buy. It's a great idea, and I think it just needs a final push to bring over the line.
Agree.
Great. And with that, sorry, can you hear me? Because I'm still toggling on and off my mic. I just need to check. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Now,
Perfect.
yes.
Cool. So we finish up with the proposals. Thank you everyone for your time and inputs. Unless anyone has any questions, we'll move to the last part of the community call. We are totally open to any topics anyone wants to bring up. Please feel free to jump in, make any questions, comments, suggestions whenever you feel ready.
So I got a question, or just like want to get thoughts from the team and just the DAO in general. We get asked this maybe like 3-4 times like a week. But what's the plan with the L2s? I know that Adrian, that you sent some feedback saying that there's some resource constraints on developing on the L2s. But is that something that, for example, if we did have that resource to create development for L2, would that be something that we want to pursue, or is there like technical limitations on the background that we have to consider? I know it's a very broad question, but figured that we should all know what's happening in that regard, since it's something that's asked continuously in Discord.
No, I think like it's a good question. Like, and then even if it's a little bit broad, like I think this has been coming out like a couple of times, like in previous community calls as well. And it's like the short answer to like there are technical issues is no, at least as far as we know. Like we have been test deploying pies on sort of the major sort of sister chain or like side chains around Ethereum, including Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. We also deployed an oven to Polygon. So like we know from a technical perspective, everything is very feasible. Like, and we have no major constraints. I think one point which it's worth sort of highlighting, like, and I think this came out a couple of times, is a little bit unclear what people expect to see on layer 2, right? And that's, I think, the main sort of blocker or like the main point of discussion, which is still open. Because if we are, like, some people might think, okay, let's just, make play on Polygon, right? Well, like there are no, like the requirements are not there just because like there isn't enough liquidity or like not all the tokens are bridged in there. So it's basically not possible. Some other people might think, okay, then let's bridge whatever we have, to Polygon, and that's possible. And we have bridges in place, both from multi-chain and from P network. So like people are free to bridge their play or like their other pies, like to other chains anytime, like even right now. But like I still feel like the best option right now for DAOs would be to build a sort of side chain native pies. So like, is there like a pie we can make on Polygon which is made of only coins living on Polygon, like natively to the Polygon sidechain? I think that would be the best product. So I would love to, since we are in an open discussion, to hear from you, like what you guys think, what you guys would like to see on layer 2.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like the idea of having, or it's an interesting idea, that of having like pies native to the L2, so that the liquidity is there, or whatever other like limitations or basic things that we need for them to exist. Curious as to like what anybody else thinks or.
Are the Visor people still on the call? Because I think something that would be quite interesting would be to move liquidity up to like Optimism using Uniswap v3. If a big problem of having sidechain based or L2 based assets is that we don't have the liquidity or the assets on that chain, then having an L2 that can inherit any of the assets on V1 quite easily or on L1 quite easily would be pretty attractive to me, and it would allow opportunities which are pricing people out to be covered in pies. A problem that I see with a native Pi to an L2 like Polygon is that it's quite affordable for everyone to get into all of those positions. And so there's not as much an advantage to having them all bundled. Whereas if you had a bunch of L1 opportunities that someone on Polygon was priced out of, that might be a really attractive product for them to join because they don't have access to those platforms or those returns.
Right. Yeah, like I think that makes sense. Like, and I don't know about the optimism thing. Like, I think it would be fantastic if eventually there would be like a sort of an automatic bridge from the mainnet liquidity to optimism. Like, I haven't heard that many news just yet about that. Like, I know there were also plans to deploy for Uniswap on Arbitrum, which I also find it's a quite exciting sort of alternative.
Arbitrum might be better because they are more open, so Visor could likely get onto them first without getting in the wait list for Optimism, and that might allow us to have less liquidity while still servicing in a V3. I think the key to doing L1 assets on a V2 or a sidechain would be having V3 support that we don't need as much liquidity to service there.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. Like, and then if that ever happens, like, I think we can jump on that fairly quickly. Like, even easier, like on Arbitrum, since it's like 100% EVM compatible than Optimism, which is slightly different. Well, I think like the question we are trying to answer today is like, there are a number of people sort of highlighting the desire to to see PyDAO presence on Polygon or like Binance Smart Chain or any sort of other sidechain. Which these people like, and what can we build on those platforms, like, and how would they be compelling, and yeah, so like I think if we can find sort of the right frame for that, that would be super great. I'm unfortunately not super familiar with the Polygon ecosystem just yet. Like, I know there are a number of tokens and projects which are doing well. I don't know if that would be worth to make pies out of it, or but yeah, please, Guy, let me know what you what's on your mind.
It's my understanding that PowerPool might have recently launched on Polygon, so I can check into what kind of things they're covering in their indices and look into some maybe exciting projects on Polygon and see if maybe we can do a pie out of those if we can find 5 or 6 that seem worthwhile.
Right, like I still feel like even if there is a little bit of bad sentiment around the Binance Smart Chain, I thought it was pretty interesting, the idea that we could come out with pies which have underlying assets based on stuff like DOT or ADA or anything like that, because of the pegging mechanism they provide. I still think that's quite an interesting idea.
That actually is a good point. I think that we could probably do an ETH killer pie there, as one of the bigger problems that we've seen around an ETH killer pie is not all of those tokens exist on ETH L1. I think they should all be on Binance Chain, but I can
Which is,
double
by
check
the way,
that.
the test pie. Like, it's the test pie we deployed with Mick. Right? It's called Kill, and it's made of Ethereum killers.
I think that might be a worthwhile project to launch on a Binance chain, personally.
Any other opinion about that? Like, is anybody which is find that compelling as a value proposition for a product?
So from a neutral standpoint, I think it makes sense, right? But from a marketing standpoint, I think we've got to understand better what our users want. So I think, Block, I think you made a good point. Whereas you said, if we go to the L2, would people even want to have those like in pies bundled because it'd be cheap enough to like handle those transactions with what you currently have, right? Whereas in ETH, it kind of makes sense to bundle all those different like tokens into pies because it makes it cheaper. And L2s, it might not be the case. So I think we got to understand exactly who we're targeting with the specific pies. And from a neutral standpoint, it makes sense because it's a hedge on ETH, which we're currently betting a lot on. So having that kill on Binance makes sense. But we got to make sure that we market it and we target like the correct people who are willing to invest in this kind of pies, because not all are open to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and something we should definitely try to maybe do some research or polling on to try to get a better sense of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think that's indeed a great point. Like, and I think it all boils down. We've been discussing that, like, I think in the past also with you more specifically, but like each pie, it's its own product, right? Like it's that's what it is, right? So like each one of these collection of assets and portfolio will resonate to other people for different reasons. They might require like sort of tailored communications or like even tailored marketing. I recall we spoke with Saganaki when he was working on Scale. That was suggesting let's make like a completely different landing page, right? Like let's make a different website, a newsletter, like and all this kind of stuff, which is only related to the concept of scaling on layer 2. I think this entire sort of way of managing things will go a long way, sort of creating a specific communication, specific websites, specific blogs, newsletters, so that we can better target whoever are the user of a specific product, instead of sort of generalizing this entire thing to one website, which has sort of the same tone of voice and also, yeah, basically the same tonality like across the entire thing. So maybe that's a good starting point.
I 100% agree. I would reach out to Nico. So how that would be like much effort on whoever is maintaining the site. So I don't have any insight into how that works. I'm basically just putting together a newsletter, but I do think having like this dedicated pages for each of the pies where we have targeted copy that speaks directly to whoever's looking at whatever pie that is. So Play is obviously people who are interested in NFTs, have interest in the metaverse, etc. Where we got like PillPie, people who want to hedge the bets against Ethereum. All of them are different audiences, right? And I don't want to get too like corporate, but everybody does not want to hear the same message or does not react to the same message the same way. So we got to talk their language, and I think that having dedicated pages for maybe even the priority pies at this point would make sense. So I'll take that as an action item, but I think it's a good start.
Right. Thank you very much, Benton. Good to know you are on it. All right. So let's just for sort of future reference, like I think we are recording this call. Like I think it would make sense once we publish the notes for this community call to make this point about layer 2. Sort of very clear where what has been done, where did we stop as for now, which is like can we find compelling products to build on top of layer 2, so that we can point that out to people like eventually when they're gonna ask next, because there will always be a next time, and hopefully that gives a little bit more clarity on things. And then if we feel like prioritizing any sort of like the idea production for L2 products, I would be very happy to sort of find a specific venue which is out of the community call, since it's a bit restricted in time, and maybe we can take like a 30 to 45 minutes to whoever is willing to join that call, like, and then bounce ideas on sort of L2 based products. If you're interested into that, raise your hand.
I believe that's a good way of sorting this out. Getting everyone on the same page, on the same call, and see what ideas flow, which ideas flow. Do you agree with that?
Right. I can make like a few bullet points of what can be done, what we know already we can do, and maybe we take it from there. Like, and then I will write a message on either the general channel, tagging every member. So whoever wants to jump into that, maybe we can make a quick call within the next week or couple of weeks, and then have some discussions.
I take the action to book that meeting. We can prepare the material. We'll discuss later if we do it next week or the week after, but I'll get that arranged. And
awesome, thank you very much.
Cool. Does anyone has anything else to bring up? Any other comments, suggestions, any feedback? Nope. All right. Before we wrap up, I just want to extend appreciation to a couple of folks that have been helping out this week. Kid Blake, IPP, we reached out to the community getting help to get the business developer role job posting done, and we saw a lot of synergy and collective effort with us and within each other. So it's good to have something we can already go and share and post and look for the right resource for business development. So kudos, thank you for the help. Same as Ben, who's putting up the newsletter, and everyone that's reaching out to give a hand and help out. As always, time is very valuable, so thank you all, guys. Very good stuff in the last couple of days, and I want to see more of that. We'll try to encourage more of your participation as much as we can, and don't wait for us to ask you. Just bring your own stuff, and we'll help you make it happen if we can. Okay. With that said, we'll have the next community call on October the 8th, so 1 month from now. So brace yourselves, and if we don't speak, if we don't see each other, we have a broken slide here. Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Hopefully, we're gonna celebrate some staking next community call.
Yeah, we better.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to the team.
Oh, thank you, kid. Thank you very much for your help.
You're welcome. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.